Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Save Our Sisters Unplugged, the podcast where we empower, inspire, and share stories to remind you that you are never alone in this journey of life. If you haven't already subscribed to my Save Our Sisters YouTube channel, get subscribed, child, so you never miss a new episode and when I go live. Today's guest is Kijuan Amey, a U.S. Air Force veteran, motivational speaker, and founder of Amey Motivation. He's also the founder, CEO of Kiwi Enterprises, LLC, the vice president of the Carolina Regional Group of the Blinded Veterans Associations, and a proud mentor and ambassador for the Air Force Wounded Warriors Project. Here to share his story from motorcycle accident to miracle, welcome, Mr. Kiwan.
Well, thank you for having me. I actually sound pretty good when you put it that way.
Now, see, when you have it laid all out, when you're
Yeah,
humble, you don't really expect it to
man,
sound the
no,
way it sounds. But,
no.
when you hear it all together, you're like, man, I am
Listen,
somebody.
exactly. There's been a couple of times where, so in the Air Force When the Warriors program, when they first do, like when you first get involved, they do like this thing called Warrior Wednesday, and that's
Mm,
when they introduce you to like there's a lot of the staff members basically, and they write up a whole little spiel about you. When I was listening to that spiel of them introducing me, I was like, "Holy crap! I did all that in the military."
yeah,
Like I literally forget because I'm not looking for the accolades. I'm not there
right.
for the accolades. I was there for, what I was really there for, my job.
Hmm.
It was for me to do my job, and it just goes back to what you just did, introducing me. I forget sometimes the things that I've done. So,
And it adds up too.
oh
Once you
yeah,
do something,
yeah,
you're not thinking, you're like, oh, yeah, I've done this one thing.
yeah,
But
yeah,
when you add it up along for all the years, it adds up and then it gets longer. So
yeah, for sure.
for someone meeting you for the first time, how would you describe who you are right now?
Ooh, who I am right now. I'm funny because I say that because I have to be. It's more of
Hmm.
that. It's more of one of those reasons. And I'm not saying like I have a job that tells me to be funny or nothing like that. No, I'm saying I'm funny because I have to be to keep me sane.
I hear
Because
you.
there's so many things we deal with on a daily. You could talk about all the news that's going on, but even just in your own personal life, there's so much you deal with on a regular,
Hmm.
and I have to laugh, as they say, to keep from crying. You know what I mean? So that's one of those big things. I'm a funny guy. I'm very intelligent. I love to learn, love to read. I was just telling my grandmother the other day. She was like, "Yeah." Talking about the news, something on the news she watched. I said, Grandma, I don't watch the news. I read it. So a lot of that local stuff she watches, I was like, I don't know anything about it. I read my news, and most of it is nowhere near local. It's
Right.
usually somewhere else, far off distances. But so yeah, I'm very, very intelligent, very gifted, creative, musically inclined. I have a drum set behind me here. Also a piano. I've been playing drums since I was 7 years old. And this is stuff that I still do till today. And I'm an author, motivational speaker, resilience coach, mentor, ambassador. I sometimes I forget what all I do. So I might forget something, and somebody be like, "Oh, you forgot this." Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you reminding me.
Yeah,
But that's some of the biggest things that I do. So
that's who you are. So tell us about the heart behind the Amy motivation and the message you're trying to spread throughout your work.
yes, the heart behind it is just sheer passion to help others. That's literally what the main focus is, to help others, and not just help them, but to help them see that they are still, like you said, somebody.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people feel in certain instances that they may have, become less than, or somebody's not valuing them. Oh man, that was one of the biggest things I spoke on when I first started speaking, is to know your value. Oh
Absolutely.
man, it's such a powerful thing when when you can literally grasp that concept. And when I finally understood what my value was, you couldn't tell me anything else.
It
Because
changes the
now,
game.
yeah, yeah, you can't diminish my light. Put it that way. And it's not for you to dim my light.
Hmm.
It's for me to continue to shine it and let it be a beacon for those who need to seek whatever it is, guidance in the mentoring, guidance in the resilience coaching, whatever it is. I just love to speak, not only just to hear myself speak, because that's not what I'm there for. I actually don't like hearing myself. But I speak for those who need to hear me and hear what comes out, because a lot of the things
Absolutely.
that come out of my mouth, I'm not even, unless it's a an organized presentation, it's not, everything that I say is not like, bam, I wrote that down. Bam, I meant to say that. No, it's usually like, yeah, man, in life, this lesson taught me this. I can tell you that, like just straight off of GP, you know. And so that's how I look at things. And that's really what Amey Motivation is about, is to keep motivating, keep inspiring, and just showing people that just because something happens to you, that does not mean that's the end of you. That can literally be
Agree.
the new you. And that's what happened to me. It's the new me. So yeah.
I really like that. And I like what you just said. Some people have a problem transitioning from who they used to be
Yeah.
to where they are now. And they stay stuck in who they used to be. They don't know how to really move past it or move past some of the things that they'd been through back then and
Yeah.
just adjust to their new life now. So you've often said, I may have lost my sight, but I didn't lose my vision. What does that vision look like for you today?
The vision is really, Amy Motivation. What I already talked about is, so first and foremost, where this quote even comes from is, somebody was asking me one day. I was walking around my church, and somebody asked me, and this was after the accident. And they said, "How do you do it?" And I was taken. I was like, "How do I do what?" Because I don't know what you're talking about. You
Right.
know,
They just walk up to you and just say, How do you do it?
yeah, yeah. Like,
No
how
context.
do you do it? And I'm like, do what? And they're like, I see you walk around church, man. And this is again early on in my
Mhm.
accident. This is not like right now. This is way early. So my accident was May 5th, 2017. This might have been 2018 or so. You know what I mean? So I'm not even a full year in at that point. But anyway, they're asking me this question, and I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" And they're like, "I see you walk around the church, you smile, you laugh, you talk, and I don't understand it. I would, if I were you, I felt like I would probably be in the most depressed state of mind that I ever." I said, "Hold on, what's to say I haven't been?
Right. Exactly.
Just because you see me like that here, what about when I go home?"
He doesn't know your journey.
I'm just like, what about when I go home? What do you, I might have a facade for this moment, but when I go home, I have reality. Think about that.
Absolutely.
People put on facades when they go out,
Mm-hmm.
but when they come back home, they just let it all out and the
Mm-hmm.
reality hits.
Yep.
You never know what somebody's dealing with until you've actually been in their personal space.
Facts.
And
Facts.
I once put up a Facebook post that said, when you peel back all the layers that we put on, whether it's the clothing, whether it's the oh, I call it mascara, eyeliner, makeup, all it, lipstick, whatever, the wigs, whatever it is,
Not
hey,
the wigs.
whatever, whatever it is, the jewelry, I don't care what, the nails, whatever it is. When you take all that stuff off, what's left? Who are you? That's what I want to know. Who are you? All that stuff you wear, you could, I don't care. I don't care about that, because in here is what really matters.
Absolutely.
That heart and that mind, that's what really matters, because they're gonna shine one day. Whether it's right now or later, they're gonna show up, because it's human. It's the part of being human. And so when I was talking to her about, me, things I've dealt with, because in my book I talk about the depression that I dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
and even the suicidal ideations. And so I was like, listen, this is not yesterday. I just jumped out and said, you know what? I'm done with all of that. I'm gonna be the best person in the world. No, this is time.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, time. Put me in this situation. So I might have lost my sight, which is physical to me,
Mm-hmm.
but the vision is mental.
Right.
My
How profound.
vision was always to help people. So that's the vision I'm pushing. Don't and I try to put it into perspective for other people who still have sight. When you think of a vision board, isn't that something you dream of? Isn't that some
Yeah.
a goal you're trying to get to? It's
Yep.
not something that you're always necessarily looking at. You know
It's
what
an
I mean?
aspiration.
Yeah, it's an aspiration, it's a mindset shift, whatever. And that's where it comes from, when I say that quote, and that's what I live by. It's I might have lost my sight, but the vision part of this thing, I'm still pushing for, and that's to help people.
I love it. And that's really why I do this podcast as well, because I love helping people. And you
Yeah.
mentioned a resilience coach. And I told my girlfriends, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to be a resilience coach. And she was like,
Mhm.
what is that? Because, you have your women's
Yeah.
empowerment coach, you have your mindset coach, you
Yeah.
got, you know, coaches for everything.
Oh yeah.
And it's just to help people deal with what they've been through,
Hmm.
help them to just know that you don't have to stay stuck where you are.
You're right.
What you've
Right.
been through does not define who you are inside. And I love that that is your quote. You did not lose your vision. I may have
Right.
lost my sight, but I didn't lose my vision.
That's right.
And I love that. So now that we're talking a little bit about women, because generally this is a women's podcast, but I've
Hmm.
recently invited men on um, because I think your stories are it's amazing, and I think women need to understand that you guys hurt too, and
Yes.
having the examples on here of some of the things that you guys struggle with and how you've overcome it, it is paramount for us to understand as women. And so
Hmm.
you're actively mentoring and speaking and you have your vision. How do women in your life support or influence the work you do in these spaces?
Well, my mother is I actually still live with her and my stepdad. We had
Mm-hmm.
a house built for us back in 2020. So we've been here almost 5 years. But it's a great living space. I have my own master bedroom and they have theirs, you know. So
Hey.
it's plenty of space, you know what I mean? And so they help me and assist me with getting to and from like different places because we're not necessarily what do you want to say right by most of my appointments. Some appointments I have to travel, take about an hour
Oh,
to get
wow.
to. You know what I mean? That's just one direction. So I
Wow.
need a driver for that.
Mm-hmm.
Ubers are expensive.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that definitely could get real expensive real quick.
You know what I mean? So in that manner, got the transportation. Also have assistance with, you know, grocery shopping and preparing meals and Fourth of July is coming up, getting ready to grill out, do stuff like that, and going to church. We of course go to the same church. My mom and my grandmother were still at the
Hmm.
same church, and so we get to see each other every Sunday that I'm home anyway, because I do travel and commute and speak and go do different things. And so it's more than just because everybody's probably like, well, what about the love and the support? It's more than that.
Hmm.
Because that's like the first thing that happens before you ever came when you came out before you even came out the womb, you were loved.
Yeah.
Because they rubbed on you all the time. You know what I mean? So I like to point out the things that people don't notice. The things like I mentioned already, her taking me to different locate appointments, allowing me or even just booking appointments for me because she's done that before too, and being a part of some of my speaking engagements and even going to some of the carry events with the Air Force and the Warriors program. down in San Antonio, Texas. So just it's a bunch of different things, a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of things that they do. Uh, I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything, but I think I've covered a lot. She helps me with cleaning stuff or finding stuff or like for Easter Sunday, I had just bought some new clothing for church, and I said, "Mom, I want you to be my personal stylist." She's like, "What?" I said, "I want you to style me for Easter Sunday," and she's like, "Um, I don't know." I said, "See, the one time." I give you free reign to dress me any way you like. You don't know. But when I come out of my room, sometimes you're like, why are you wearing that? See that? No, that's not the time to do it. That's not the time to do it. I'm giving you free reign right now. You can do whatever you want. And now you act like you don't know what you want to do. So, but yeah, it's fun times like that you get to share in those personal spaces.
Mm. I like that. And I
Mhm.
like that she's such a support system to you. And I mean, of course, she's moms,
Well, yeah. Mhm.
mom's gonna do that for their kids, especially, in the special circumstances that you have going on, and it's nice to have someone that is, already loves you to do it because to try and find a home health agent or someone that would help with that, then you have to
Yeah,
vet them and then you have to get acclimated with how they do things. They gotta it's just better to just have someone that already knows you to do it,
for
and then
sure.
it's more of them working with you and not you trying to work with them, because
I
I
think,
think that makes all the difference sometimes.
yeah, and I think the hardest thing that her and I run into is the patience part, and it's not, the bumping of heads for, I guess you could say, child to parent thing. It's more so of the unknown with the
Hmm.
vision loss and stuff like that. Like I'm trying to get them to understand certain things. You can't do that way. I need like I just recently went to Dallas, Texas, for a week. And when I came back, she had cleaned up stuff in my room. But when
Hmm.
she did it, she moved things.
Oh God. Ugh,
That's a no-no.
I'm triggered.
That's a no-no with a blind person, okay? And so I am looking for stuff. Okay, hear me clearly. I am looking for stuff.
Hmm.
My gym stuff is moved. Shoes are moved. There's something else that was it was like cause she was, vacuuming. So she was getting stuff out of the way. And I'm like, yeah, but put it back. I don't have a problem with you moving it off the floor, but put it back where it was.
Yeah, because I
Just like you
mean,
used to tell me when I was a kid. Put that back where you found it. And
see
now
how you
I need to
turn her
tell
words
you that.
against her.
Exactly. Exactly. Now I need to tell you that. Put that back where you found it.
Yeah.
And so eventually, I did find everything because it wasn't taken out of my room. So that's the biggest part. I just had to find out where in the room was it.
Hmm.
And luckily, I guess, being military, I'm not junky. So
Yeah.
thankfully, shall I say, and being raised properly, and that's also another thing. But I know where things are. I know where I put it. Why isn't it there? If it's not there, it's probably in that vicinity. So that was the other thing I thought. I was like, well, it's got to be around here somewhere. You know what I mean? So yeah, those are types of things that we kind of bump heads about, like little things like that. Stuff that
Just
people
leave
wouldn't
it.
think about. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think about that." I say, "Yeah, I know, but let me
Yeah.
help you."
This is why we're here, because you wasn't thinking about me.
Yes.
You just wasn't trying to get your cleaning done.
Yeah, listen, and when I tell you she's moving, she is moving fast. She's left the brush in the bathtub. I mean, in the shower before. I'm like, hey, what? She left sponges in there. I'm like, hey, look, you've got to do better.
Yeah, she gotta get adjusted to this new normal.
What it is she just moves so fast. And
Yeah.
and do not, and I repeat, do not let that phone go off. All bets are off, man. Just throw all the papers in the air. All bets are off, okay?
Oh no,
Yeah. So,
that's funny. Your upcoming book is titled Don't Focus on Why Me.
mm,
Why was that the message you chose to put into the world?
because we all, and I say that I have to say that because it's a human trait. We all, as humans, if something negative especially as bad as what happened to me, happens to us, we tend to take that victimized mentality of why me?
Mm-hmm.
We all do it. It's simple. It doesn't even have to be as bad as something that happened. You could have messed your they could have messed your order up at McDonald's and you like, Lord, why they have to do this to me today? Lord,
Oh
they
my
know I
God.
gotta be at a meeting this morning. You
Yeah, I
know?
opened my fridge the other day and my Westchester shawls fell out and got everywhere, got all over my socks, all over the kitchen. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
why me?
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? That's nowhere near. You didn't have to spend 2 months in the hospital for that.
Yeah.
But I did, so it's a mentality and what I call the victimized mentality that we
Yeah.
we all deal with. We all suffer from it. And so what God revealed to me on that day, I don't remember exactly the day, but that day I was laying in my hospital bed. I was having it out with him. Oh, you better believe it. We had a whole conversation.
Hmm.
And once I finished, because I couldn't come up with no more questions. Once I finished, he was like, "Well, are you done yet?"
Was it a conversation or was you cussing him out?
Oh, it was a conversation after he started talking again. He started talking because he was like,
Mm.
you know how you get those parents that just like, I'm just gonna let him say what he got to say. Yeah, no, go ahead, say what you got to say.
Hmm.
And that's what he was doing. No, go ahead, vent. Come on, give it to me. Like one of those moments. And when I got finished, and he said, "Well, why not you?"
Mm. He done flipped it around on you.
And you know what my response was? See, this right here, this is why people don't like you. Because you always come up with answers like that. Like, you always come up with answers like that. That's why they don't like. And you know what? See, I- and he was like, why not you? I said, but God, I'm not trying to have a Job experience. Like, I get it. Job, hey man, kudos to him, man. But I don't want it.
Exactly. I was
Kudos
just
to
thinking
him.
about that today.
You know what I'm saying? Kudos to that brother, but I don't want it. Okay. Hey, you got to be a strong somebody, okay? And
Yeah.
so, don't get me wrong. That definitely felt like a Job experience. From his wife, everything she was saying to him. Why don't you curse God and die? And of course, I didn't have any kids, so I can't put that aspect into it, but my the girl that I was courting at the time, she literally ghosted me. Like, I mean, just up and gone. She's
Mm.
now married now. Hey, God must have
Wasn't for
felt,
you.
God must have said, let her go that way. You go this
Yeah.
way. This is your path over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
She wasn't down for the path.
And it was understood in the latter part that she was down for what it seemed like the materialistic.
Mm.
You know what's crazy about that though? I have more now than I did then.
That she just hung in there.
So
But that's how you
so
weed
when I
out.
say so when I say Job experience, that's what
Hmm.
happened to Job. He
Yeah.
got double for his trouble.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I think about that stuff and I say, God, I don't want that. But I mean, hey, if you gonna bless me, go ahead. If you trying to
Yeah.
bless a brother, I ain't gonna say no.
Yeah.
Especially not after this,
I hear you. And we've kind of teased the listeners enough about what we're talking about. So May 5th,
Hmm.
2017, that was a pivotal moment in your life. Can you walk us through what happened on that day?
Yeah, I guess so. No, yeah, so surely I can walk you through it. But it seems like you have to, instead of walk, you have to ride with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I mean by that is, yes, I was actually the young lady I was just telling you about. I went to take her to lunch that day. Because I was in the Air Force Reserves at the time of my
Mm-hmm.
accident, and So the business Kiwi Enterprise, I was doing that business at that time. And I did website design and management, social media marketing, and photography for that business. Well, after I took her back to work, I was in my Dodge Charger at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But after I took her back to work, I was supposed to go home and go to sleep because I had to go to the military base that night. But when I got home, I was so restless. I could not go to sleep at all. Man, listen, I'm like, this right here, this is not cool, and so uh, I said, what can I do to be productive? Something. I need to do something. Instead of jumping on the computer, I said, you know what? Let me go take these pictures and I can edit them while I'm at the base this weekend. And so that's what I did. Hopped on the bike instead of jumping in the car, to kind of save gas. That way, when I got on the road to go to the base, I wouldn't have to fill up.
Right.
So that's what I did. I jumped on the bike, ran over to the church, and because that's what I was doing, I was taking pictures of my church to update their website. I was the webmaster for them, and did all the pictures. Now here's where the whole journey changes because from my apartment where I stayed to the church was only about 10 minutes ride one way. So this is where the problem now comes in because I'm like, well, it's a beautiful day outside. It's North Carolina. It's spring weather. Um, yeah, I can't put this bike up.
Not just it.
Not with just 10 minutes of a ride.
Yeah.
Oh, no, no, no. I gotta find somewhere else to go. And so where did I figure I wanted to go? I wanted to go to Jordan Lake. Here in North Carolina, we have a lake called Jordan Lake. I'm very, very familiar with this lake, by the way. I used to go there even when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm on my way there, no problems. I'm very familiar with the drive. So nothing was like surprising. So I get there with no problems, and I'm meditating out there, just being with one with the lake. I found out some very valuable information about that lake too. What's underneath that lake used to be a black community.
Really?
No joke. But it used to flood so much that they just turned it into a lake.
Mm.
So if the water levels get too low, you can start to see stuff that was there,
Wow.
like cemeteries and different things like that.
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy, right? It was back in the 60s
That
they
is
made it.
crazy.
Yeah, back in the 60s they made that lake. And so, anywho, now going back to the lake. As I'm sitting there and meditating, this is probably why I was so drawn to it because I'm the the connection of energy to
Mm-hmm.
this area was history, probably. You know what I mean? So, anyway, I would go sit out there, meditate, relax. And then a car came flying by, and I was, oh snap, what time is it? Because I always wore a watch when I was in the military. Always wore a watch. Got to keep track of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I checked the times. Ooh, gotta go. So jumped back on the bike and I, took off back down the road, Highway 751. Excuse me. Now on 751, it's only two lanes. The lane that I'm traveling in and the lane that's coming past me. And so there's not much wiggle room to go anywhere, off the beaten path. And also along this highway, you have driveways. So people lived off this highway. You had intersections, literally a produce farm, like
Okay.
literally a produce farm, like a nursery, and this really sketchy BP gas station. Don't
Mm.
go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. I swear it didn't seem like anybody was ever there. I
Oh,
don't think I
wow.
want to be there either.
Yeah. No.
But anyway, as I'm approaching the intersection, and this intersection, by the way, did have a street light. There was a stoplight there. So it wasn't like it was just a four-way intersection with a stop sign. It was an actual light there. So
Mm-hmm.
why this happens, I don't know, but I'm about to get there. So riding along 55 miles an hour because, like I said, this was a highway, and 55 was the speed limit. And that's what I was doing. Not speeding, I promise you. Not even joking. There's no point in speeding back here. There's no point. Uh, and so, anywho, when I approached the intersection, I'm not thinking anything of it because I'm listening to music in my helmet. I had a Bluetooth capability set up in my
Okay.
helmet while I'm listening to music. Bruno Mars, actually.
Mhm.
And I'm sure it was Bruno because that was around the time his 24 karat magic CD came out.
Mhm.
And anywho, this silver Honda Accord pulls out in front of me.
Wow. On
And
this
I
two-lane highway.
on a two-lane road. And I'm just like, there's no way. This ain't real. Nope. Uh-uh. I'm gonna go right past this. Like, eh, I don't know what, like, I really don't remember anything up to this point, or after this point, shall I say. Because your brain, when it's hit with some serious trauma, this is horrific trauma, by the way, but some serious trauma, it tends to go into a protective mode, and you don't remember stuff about what happened.
Mhm.
Like this can happen not only with accidents, but like say for example, you're abused a lot as a child. Some of this stuff you forget, depending on how bad it was, you can forget it. And it's a lot of things like that that can cause you to forget because it's your memory suppresses it. And so the only reason I even know about this accident is because of the witnesses. There were two witnesses there who were behind him at the same
Mhm.
light that said they don't know why he pulled out because they saw me
Wow.
coming. So they don't know why he didn't.
So was he in the oncoming lane then?
No, he pulled out in front of me. Like
So he was
literally from
behind you and
so
was he
so
trying to
check
pass
this.
you?
So check this. If you're going down a street,
Mhm.
there's an intersection that crosses each other, like a T
Okay.
intersection. If
Uh-huh.
I'm going down that street and you pull out right turn in front of me, that's what he did. He pulled out and turned right
Oh,
in front of me.
wow.
Why? I don't know.
Impatience.
Why? I don't know. You can say whatever you want, throw whatever label you want on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because just like the people who were behind him that were witnesses to the scene, they didn't know. What are you doing? We can see this man coming because this area is cut like the trees are cut back for that point.
Mhm.
That same very reason for you to be able to see. What are you doing, sir? And so
Yes.
anywho, I wake up at the at UNC Chapel Hill Hospital um a month and a day later,
Oh,
by the way.
wow.
Yeah, I was in a medically induced coma for a month and a day. I
Oh,
literally
I'm
had to
so
have
sorry.
surgery from head all the way down to my right foot.
I am so sorry that's happened to you.
Yeah. From literally across, cut from ear across the top of my head to the other ear. So the same way you see these headphones going
Mm-hmm.
is how they had to cut me
Mm. Okay.
because I had so much swelling on my brain. So it's to relieve the swelling on my brain, they opened up my skull.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Wow.
among other things, because I
Wow.
have two metal plates in my face to restructure it.
Uh-huh.
Um, I mean, you wouldn't know unless I tell you because they did
Definitely
pretty
can't
decent.
tell.
Look, they did pretty decent. That was actually a joke when I woke up from my coma, and my mom told me that I had to have plastic surgery. When she told me that, I said, "Wait, I had plastic surgery?" She was like, "Yeah." Well, did they make me look like Denzel?
I
She
mean,
said,
while they were in there.
she said, no. I said, well, darn, can you let me down easy next time? Yeah, so it literally from the top of my head all the way down to my right foot, I've had surgery. I have a screw in my right foot. So
Wow. That is crazy. So hopefully this guy went to jail.
I don't know what happened to him. I never talked to him, never didn't want to. Because he actually wanted to talk to me, so apparently he didn't go to jail. I don't know.
How did he not go to jail? That
Uh,
with all the
I don't know
witnesses
what
saying it was his
constitutes.
fault, like he should have had some kind of a violation.
Yeah, but I don't know what constitutes you having to go to jail for an accident. You know what I mean?
Failure to stop. I mean,
Well, he
yeah,
was stopped at one point at the light. So
I guess.
it ain't like he ran away. He didn't flee the scene, so
Hmm. I wonder what he would have said to you if you, let's say you,
yeah.
let's say you entertained him wanting to talk to you. What would you
Oh
have told
no.
him?
I couldn't. Because I wrote about this in my book. There was no entertaining him at that time.
Hmm.
You just changed my life forever.
Yeah, in a
Because I
big
woke
way.
up without eyesight. This was not like a
Oh,
gradual eyesight loss. This was wake up without sight. I couldn't talk at the time because my jaw had been broken, so they wired it shut. And I didn't have any smell. I still don't have smell. I can
mm,
taste, but I can't smell anything. And then, I was really immobile because of all of the surgeries they did, the metal rods that are in me, metal plates in my head, metal rods in my spine and both legs, and the screw in my foot. I couldn't move. I don't want to
wow.
talk to you, man. You really like I was so not only was I in the Air Force doing an amazing job, by the way. The job that I haven't had in the Air Force was in-flight refueling specialist, which is where you refuel planes in midair.
Yeah, that's cool.
You tell me that right there is enough
Yeah.
to say get away from me. You know what I'm saying? So not only was that taken away from me, I had my own business that I just started that year of my accident. Just started the business that year.
Mhm.
I was in school full time now, not part time because I used to do part time. But now I'm in school in college full time so that I can commission and become a pilot. And you just took all that away from me.
Oh my gosh.
And you think I want to talk to you?
Yeah.
No, sir.
I don't blame you. I don't think I would have been able to talk to him either.
Now,
Honestly,
now I could
tell
have the
me.
conversation, but then there's no entertaining.
No. So if he looks you up now, you would sit down with him?
Yeah, yeah, I said that plenty of time. Yeah.
Mm.
hmm I mean, it wouldn't. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be the easiest conversation, but I'm mature now to have the conversation. 25? Nah. 25-year-old Kijuan, we finna duke it out, brother. Come on with it. I am finna take you out. But 33-year-old Kijuan, I'll just clasp my hands together.
I definitely can. I cannot relate to what you're going through, but I can certainly understand emotionally having all that taken away with one bad mistake, one
Yeah,
another person's poor judgment
right.
in the moment, and you've gotten your whole life taken away from you. You have life,
hmm
but it's different. It's different now. It's changed.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. So, what does your emotional healing look like for you in the aftermath, especially as a man processing such a huge life shift?
Well, faith is huge. I've been faith-based since I could stand up.
Mhm.
Like I've been in church all my life. Still am, and it's very much so needed. Trust me, it is needed for me. It might not be to anybody else, but to me, I need it because I
Yeah.
need some days I just need somebody to talk to, Lord. My music, I play music not just at home, but at church as well.
Okay.
And that's them drums. Whoo, you talking about get some stress out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Man, kicking and throwing my hands all around him. I feel like I'm fighting over there sometimes, letting out some stress, because I can hit those things as hard as they want, and they're gonna make sounds that I want to
Yeah.
hear, and mental therapy. I actually did that today, before our podcast interview. Mental therapy. I highly, highly recommend seeking any mental health you know, maturity, mental therapy, whatever it is to help anyone, man or woman, binary or non-binary, whatever you want to call it. I say everybody needs it because we've all went through something. And it's been so helpful because especially when they're genuine therapists.
Yeah.
Trust me, I have dealt with some that I was like, this is not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, you do have the option to choose someone else. Always remember that. And so, but mental therapy, music therapy, faith. Oh, writing. Writing is huge. Me writing my book was a healing piece.
I'm sure it was.
If and when you all get the chance to read this book, you will understand what was coming out of me.
I'm definitely going to get the book.
It was literally my heart coming out and saying my emotions. I was putting everything on that paper. Like the lessons that it taught me. Like, cause I write the book as if I'm writing letters.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the letter, I tell you the lesson that I gained from
That's a
that
really good
chapter
point.
of my life.
Yeah.
And then I sum it up by like, just saying, hey, I hope this helps you all too. So it's such an amazing, not just read, but when you think of how I wrote it, it's like it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says that. It's like it's not even it's so different. I don't when are you gonna write another one? I'm like, if I do write another one, I don't know if it'll be like that. Because that was special.
For that moment.
Yeah, it was special for
Mm-hmm.
that. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. Maybe I'll adopt that as my style of writing, but we'll see.
Yeah. That's a cool writing style, actually.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you about my stuff later on. This today is about you.
Thank you.
So, how did the women in your life, whether family, friends, or partners, show up for you during your recovery?
Ooh. Well, I ended up having to move in with my grandma. Well, we'll start at the hospital first. At the hospital, there was never a moment that I was alone.
Was that a good thing or a bad thing?
What do I mean by this? Unless I was in a surgery, people were there. Friends, family, coworkers, all. They
Mm-hmm.
were there.
That's amazing.
Yes. It's huge. Like my community stepped up. I'll put it that way. And I needed it because listen, every doctor that said that they had to that either x-rayed, examined, did a surgery, whatever it was, they were like, yeah, I would call everybody and just let them know he probably won't be here much longer.
Mm.
Then when I was making it past those timelines, they were like, yeah, he made it past that. But if he lives, you're gonna have to, bathe him, clothe him, feed him for the rest of your life.
Wow.
But when I made it past that timeline,
Right. Because God didn't have
look
that
at
for
here.
you.
Look here. Everybody, let's vote real quick because
Yeah,
I'm still
exactly.
here, all right? And I'm
Still
talking to
standing.
you all. Okay? That is the one thing that keeps me going is remembering stuff like that. And I'm not making that up, by the way. I actually spoke to one of the doctor who actually did my spinal cord surgery. I actually spoke to him at a follow-up appointment. And I was not in the hospital. This was a clinical visit where he did my follow-up appointment. And I didn't know that he was the actual guy who did it until I talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even more reason I'm like not telling you a lie. I'm like when he walks in the room and the exam room, I'm just sitting up on the edge of the bed, like the little table or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and just a dangling my feet. And he walks in and he's like, "Oh wow." I'm like, "What happened?" I was like, "Mom, what you doing back there?" Because she was sitting behind me. I was like, "Mom, what you doing back there?" She was like, "I'm not doing anything. He's talking to you. I was like, oh, what happened? And he said, uh, I just I just didn't expect you to be sitting up. I said, well, what did you expect? He said, maybe for you to be in a wheelchair?
Wow.
I said, really now?
That's what he thought, but that's not what God had for you.
Oh, what? I said, really now? I said, what? Why you say these things? What do you say these things? And so I said, you know what? I'll do you one better. He's like, what's that? You want me to stand up for you? He slid that little rolling chair back. He said, go ahead. I stood up and I said,
There
put
you
my
go.
hands on my hips. And he was like, man. And he had a student with him. So yeah, that was really cool that day. Got to, in a sense, show off,
Hmm.
and so going back to the hospital, people were there, just everywhere. They just wouldn't leave me. And I'm like, Lord, I thank you. And the energy that I kept getting from them was what kept me here, I feel. That's what
Right.
I feel. The transfer of energies.
That's
And
good.
and then when I did finally wake up when I was in the hospital, I still had people there. Visitors all the time. Um, Even one of my ex-girlfriends. I was like, what are you doing here? And she would not leave my side.
Wow.
She wouldn't. It was like one of those moments where, and I thank God for it because her and my mom needed she needed the support the most.
Yeah. She needed
And
that.
she just was like there because she knew my mom needed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
And that was big
so,
of her to come.
oh yeah, no, seriously. She not only did she do that at the hospital, she did it when I had went to my grandmother's house too. She would come sit with me
That's
and make
good.
sure I need whatever I needed. She would come, help me. You know, that at that point, I still had to get to the bathroom. I still had to bathe. I still had to get clothed, feed. Some people had to feed me, do my medicine, like all that stuff. And she was helping do all of that.
It's a very humbling position to be in.
Yeah, it really was. And listen, I wrote about her in my book. In my book too. Um, I mentioned her name, Soleil. She's such a amazing person, and
So when y'all get
grateful
married,
for her. Say what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
so when y'all getting married,
No, that's an ex-girlfriend. You missed that part.
no, I had that part.
No, you
Sometimes
didn't.
we have this thing
No,
saying,
you
"Oh,
didn't.
fire sticks, easy for catch."
You got selective hearing. I think you got selective,
I'm just
and I
messing with
have to
you.
say that because I do now have a girlfriend, so that's why I have to say that because you're not gonna get me in trouble.
No, no, I'm sorry, girlfriend.
Oh no, no, no.
No,
Not gonna
no,
get
no, no,
me.
no, no.
How they say, not like them football players and them basketball players. Oh no, no.
No, 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 no.
Uh-uh.
Well,
I will not.
I'm glad that she was there for you in the moment where you needed her to be.
Yes, yes.
Because it's
Me
always good
too.
to have people that, even though they're not the star in your life anymore, they're still in the background, making sure that you're still all right.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is she was there pushing me too, not just there. You know what I mean? She was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, I think you could take some more steps because I had to learn how to walk again too." Like, come on, take some more steps. You're almost there. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yo, you don't know what this feels like." There was so many times me and her was arguing. You don't know what this feels like. Put the chair behind me right now. Because she was pushing the wheelchair, right? And I had the walker. Put the wheelchair behind me. I need to sit down. Like, so we've had our little, ups and downs, but and it was all because of her not fully understanding what I was feeling, because you can feel what your body feels, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I was trying to explain it to her. I'm like, listen, I need the chair or I'm gonna fall on this floor. And I don't have a problem with it. And I told her that too. And so that when I was telling her that, that's when she put that chair behind. Either y'all gonna put the chair behind me or y'all gonna be picking me up off this floor. Which one you want to do?
Oh my goodness.
And the thing with that is
Acting up.
if I had a fail, it would have went on the therapist. The therapist would have had to
Oh,
do the write-up.
oh,
So
see.
he was like, put the chair over there.
Yeah, let's get the chair.
Yeah, yeah, put the chair right there. I said, that's more paperwork for him, not me.
Yeah.
So
I,
yeah,
I like that she was really there for you. And after
man,
your
yeah.
accident, you didn't just rebuild, you
No,
redefined your life.
there
So
it
what
is.
was the first dream that you dared to chase again?
Oh, the first, sports,
Okay.
easily sports. Like you see how excited I got.
You did.
I'm sorry.
You really lit up with that
I'm
one.
sorry. I love sports. I played sports before my accident. I used to play semi-professional football. So, uh, and that was while I was still in the military, by the way. So yeah, sports, and more sports. I love
Mhm.
sports. I'm a sports guy. I'm a sports guy. So yeah, love sports. I found adaptive sports, or shall I say they found me
Mhm.
because I knew nothing about them at first until the VA. Was it the VA? Yeah, I think it was the VA when the blind, yeah, my blind rehab outpatient clinic told me about this place called Bridge to Sports here in North Carolina. The
Okay,
first the first adaptive sport I ever did was archery. Do you know what archery is?
I do.
Yeah, that's the first thing I ever did. Felt like I was in the Hunger Games. I sure did. I said, Katniss, you ain't got nothing on me.
I've been wanting to try that actually.
It's fun. It is fun. And they have different bows. So I would try the different bows first before you like ever buy anything.
Hmm.
That way you can see what works for you. And for people who might be uh lacking the strength in their fingers or their hand, you can get a trigger pull.
Okay.
So it all you do is pull this little thing back, and then you can press the trigger and it releases. It releases the
The
I'm
bow,
forgetting what
the arrow.
yeah, yeah, it releases that I'm forget the actual name of the piece, but yep, it
Oh,
releases that and fires the bow forward. So yeah, it's a lot of different pieces that go into it, but trust me, it can be done
hmm.
by anybody. I've seen people with one arm do it. I've seen people and how they do that. They take the one arm that they have and it's a mouth guard, a little mouthpiece. They put that tab in their mouth and they pull it back, and they're looking down the sight and they let it go with their teeth.
Interesting.
Yeah, trust me. So, like I say, it can be done. But that was the first thing I ever did. I did so archery, air rifle, rowing, cycling, tandem cycling, shot put, discus, uh powerlifting, and they wanted me to do track, but I never did it. Um, I've done bowling, downhill skiing, rock climbing, indoor rock
After the
climbing.
accident?
Yeah, this is all post eyesight loss.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is very inspiring.
Oh yeah. I did a little bit of swimming, but it wasn't competition level. It was just for me to jump in the pool at the YMCA and swim laps.
I'm still on that skiing part because that just involves
Yeah.
snow.
I've got videos for that. I did
Wow.
it last year in January up in Stowe, Vermont.
You
There's a
just
ski resort in Stowe, Vermont.
you're just not limiting yourself. You're
No, no,
just
no.
like, listen, this happened to me, but I'm still gonna live my life.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna live it a little bit differently, but I'm still gonna do the things that I love.
I was trying to get accepted into the VA's summer sports clinic
Okay.
and go out to San Diego to do kayaking, surfing, sailing, and they also were doing cycling, but I've already done that. So the other three I had never done before,
Mm,
and I would have that would have been three more things I checked off my list. So I'm trying to get into that
that's amazing.
clinic.
That is amazing.
I don't want nothing to hold me back.
It doesn't sound like anything's gonna hold you back. I mean, you're doing it. You're living life.
That's right.
You're a phoenix.
Thank
Now,
you. So you're
with
the
all
first.
the
You're not the first person to say that.
that you're a phoenix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You came out of
amazing.
everything. You rose from the ashes.
The rose out of the ashes.
Yeah. So, do you believe with everything that you've been through, do you think that men need safe spaces to be emotionally vulnerable? And what
Absolutely.
this is a two-part question. And
Yeah, I
what
got
role can
you.
women play in creating those spaces?
Uh, what role can women play in that? Don't make us feel less than a man just because we do.
Hmm.
I've been emasculated before.
Okay.
This was after my eyesight loss. Never had that problem before. But after the eyesight loss, and it was one of those things where I was like, I feel like this is gonna happen. You ever had a thought, and it might have happened well before the occurrence ever took place, but you were like, I don't know if this is gonna work out.
Hmm.
And then it eventually, somewhere down the road, I knew it. Yeah, that's what happened. It was one of those moments.
Wow.
And it was a relationship where I was the junior to this in this relationship, and it was a pretty big age gap, pretty big age gap between me and the young lady. And I said before we even got together on the phone, I said, "Listen, is the age going to be a different? Is it going to be a problem? Because if it is, I'm I'm not with it. I don't want to do it." Oh no, it's gonna be oh no, it's gonna be okay. Come on. Okay, I'm just saying. And she's like, no, I'm serious. I said, all right, okay. Well, a couple years down the road, run into a problem. Now, not only am I a man, but I'm a man that's been in the military. We know how to take charge.
Right.
We also know how to run a household. We know how to lead, is what I'm getting at.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, if you're not going to let me do those things, what am I here for?
Needed.
Exactly. I don't feel, first off, I don't feel needed. And then you're taking the the manly things that I'm supposed to be doing away from me. So who
Mm.
am I at this point? I'm not your child. So what are we doing?
Yeah.
And that right there, don't emasculate men. That part, and I am this whole new generation of independent women is not the same as the old independent woman. My grandmother is an independent woman, and when her independence is more of if I don't have a man, I will be okay.
Right.
Whereas the new independent woman is like, I don't care what he do. Like, hey man, look, why you gotta be an alpha? What is the point in a woman being an alpha? The way I was raised, I I don't know what that is.
A woman being an alpha,
Yes,
maybe out of circumstance.
now I'm saying in a relationship though. How can you be the alpha in the relationship? That's what I'm getting at. Like there are actually women who are alphas in a man-woman relationship, not women-women, man-woman.
Sometimes I think some men can lead in certain areas, not all areas. And I
Okay,
think sometimes between the two, depending on the situation, they may not have all the knowledge to lead every area.
okay, that's working together. I get what you're saying. You're saying working together. I'll take this part, you take that part. That's working together. I'm saying alpha. That means you lead everything.
Yeah, I don't, maybe there's some issues with that
Yeah,
because
that's what
I
I'm
definitely
saying. But
don't
it's
want to make every decision.
but that's what I'm saying. Like it's
I'm
it's
exhausted.
it's a new thing that's taking over, is what I'm saying.
That's a new, I wouldn't even call that, well, there's a fine line between being an alpha woman or alpha female and just being a controlling female. Or do you think they're the same?
I'm just telling you what they label it now, and that's an
Yeah.
alpha woman. That's what I'm telling you. Like the women label it that, not men,
Mhm.
because I had never heard of it until recently. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
I said, I know what an alpha male is. I ain't never heard no alpha woman.
Yeah.
Like, what is
There's some
that?
there's some alpha females out there. I
But
wouldn't say I'm a full alpha female, but I can definitely take charge because I was a single parent, and so I had to be a boss in my world for a very long time before my husband came along. But you know,
but
I
then when
know how
your
to
husband
step
came
back.
along, what happened?
I had to step back, but you know what? It didn't happen right away.
But I get it because you were probably there for a while. You were in that
Yeah.
position for a while. What I'm saying is these women can't even let it go at all.
Yeah.
There's a
That's
difference.
definitely a control situation, and
Yeah.
that's something that she probably needs
Well, I'm
to
not
really
saying
get into.
it's anybody I deal with. Trust me, I would have cut you loose a long time ago.
I feel like we're going to have a longer conversation about this and
Hmm.
just actually have a forum with men and women so we can really dig
Hmm.
into alpha males and alpha females.
Yeah, nah. Trust me, I've never had a woman that was an alpha anything, because I would have cut her loose.
Mm, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
I
That's
mm-mm.
interesting.
I don't want if you feel like you can, but in a sense, overpower me in a sense, like with the things we do, that doesn't make sense.
And I guess it all depends on what the goal is and what the intent is behind all that.
But it doesn't make sense. Why are you overpowering when we should be working together? That's what
Yeah.
I'm getting at. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
You
there
should
should be
definitely
no
work
overthrow
together
of either leadership. Like either
because
way.
they want to stand 10 toes down on their position, and sometimes that's why a lot of people are single.
Hmm. Oh yeah, no. A lot of them Alpha girls are single. Trust me. Trust me.
Well,
And they wondering why.
speaking on those alpha females, as we close, what advice would you give women who want to support their men in their lives through depression, injury, or identity loss, but aren't sure how to do it?
That's a really good question. I mean, phew, the support is the biggest thing. Like you just gotta
Hmm.
be there
Yeah.
because first off, it's gonna take time. So the best thing you could do is try to provide support and help find resources. That was a huge hurdle I jumped over when I found the right resources. Whether it was the Air Force Wounded Warriors program, the VA, Blind Rehab, Blinded Veterans Association, um, whoever it was, uh, Bridge to Sports, all these different things that I started indulging myself into,
Hmm.
it was helping. It was helping me first not isolate because that's all I wanted to do at that point. I wanted to isolate. Yeah. And then I got
Yeah.
to the point where I was like, I'm tired of being in the house.
Yeah. You got cabin fever now.
And then stupid COVID.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Because then got put right back in the house when I was just getting
Yeah.
comfortable with being outdoors again. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So
Like
it,
the world was working against you.
it really was. It really seemed like it for sure. And so support is a huge part of it because like the young lady I date now, man, we support each other. Put it that way. But we were
Hmm.
just talking about yesterday, like the different gifts that we've given each other over the years. We were watching some show and it was they were giving gifts or something like that. I think it was Martin. But anyway, uh she was talking about the gifts I've given her. And she was like, we've only been together for 2.5 years, and the gifts you've given me already, like I'm just mind blown. I said, well, what have you been doing? Like who are these guys you've been dealing with? And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I have, splurged on her a little bit for sure. But it
Hmm.
was like, geez, it's crazy how you think about today's generation, people, only time they want to spend money is, let's be honest, when they're trying to get you in bed.
Mm.
Sad, right?
Very,
That's
very.
but that's the new generation.
Or
And
when they
that
feel
is so sad.
obligated,
Yeah.
like Mother's Day, Christmas,
Hmm.
your
Valentine's Day.
birthday.
Yeah, Valentine's
Valentine's
Day.
Day is a toss up. Don't even. Don't even get me started on Valentine's Day.
What do you mean by that? I
Oh
mean, most
Lord.
people do feel like they're supposed to get something after they treat you on Valentine's Day.
And some people break up with you right before those
Well, I'm
important
talking
holidays
about
so
the
that they don't have to
yeah, no, I'm
really get
talking
into
about the
that.
actual dates, not the people who break up with you. I'll talk about the actual dates and stuff.
Yeah, I do
But
love
yeah,
a good Valentine's Day date. I definitely believe in it, but some people don't believe that. They believe it's just a scam that society puts together to just have men spend their money.
just like everything else, right?
Yeah, I mean, you
Because
can't pick
if
on
you well
Valentine's Day if you're not going to pick on Mother's Day and Christmas and you know.
first off, the reason they feel that way about Valentine's Day, if you know the history of Valentine's Day, it has nothing to do with love. Nothing to do with love. You got to go back to the Europeans.
Mhm.
Valentine was killed, okay?
Yes, he
That was a
was.
person.
For marrying people secretly, wasn't it?
I don't remember why, but he got killed.
Yeah,
What are we celebrating this day for again?
yeah,
Talk to me now.
yeah.
You know what I'm
And I
saying?
think,
So,
yeah, I kind of looked it up and I think he got
yeah,
killed for marrying people in secret at a time where they weren't supposed to be doing that. So people that were in love, they knew he did it and they would go ahead and get married. And so once they found out that he was doing that, they killed him.
yeah, like what? So what are we
So,
celebrating again? You know what I'm saying? So,
well, it's like Thanksgiving too. So, but that's a whole other
well,
thing.
hey, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you on that. We turn things and flip it all the way around. If you look up Christmas and where it comes from, it stems from, man, listen, y'all, there's some dark stuff out there.
Yeah.
Y'all better
Yeah.
look it up. Well, and I'm not talking about like the Jesus part of it. I'm talking about the actual Saint Nick and all that.
Every
Y'all better look
every
that stuff up.
religious holiday has a mascot, has a man-made mascot that has nothing to do with the day. It's just a deflection.
All I'll say is the same five letters that spell Santa
So Jesus.
spell Satan.
Oh,
I ain't lying. Look it up. The same five letters that spell Santa
yeah. Just
spell
rearrange
Satan.
it. Oh Lord. Now
I'm just saying.
Lord, now you done made me went in a whole different direction.
I, I'm just saying. Go look up that history stuff, man. There's some dark
Well,
stuff.
there is. Well, Kiwan, I really enjoyed our conversation and I really thank you for trusting us with your story and being so candid and vulnerable to share it in great detail. What's next, for you, and where can our listeners follow your work, your book, for book you for speaking, all of
Yeah,
that?
for sure. You can follow me at amymotivation.com. If you go on my website, it has links to my social media. But if you want to just go straight to the source, like LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, you can follow me by just searching my first and last name. That's Kijuan Amey. If you want to find my book, it is on the website as well, amymotivation.com. And that is Don't Focus on Why Me from Motorcycle Accident to Miracle, which can also be found on Amazon, Kindle, Apple Books, and Audible. If you want to book me, you can do the same thing, ameymotivation.com. And we can talk about what you are needing for me to speak about.
It's a nice little PSA.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks again. It was a pleasure for you to really grace the stage and come into the women's domain and really share your words of wisdom, your tenacity, your strength, your resilience, and I said it before, but your vulnerability, and your man, I'm still trying to ski. I'm still on the skiing part, but you just not limiting yourself to, oh, I'm blind, I can't do all these things. Man, you're like, I'm gonna do these things while I'm blind. So
Hmm.
mindset, changing and shifting your mindset is important. And thank you so
Huge.
much for sharing that.
Yes, huge.
All right. Well, I thank everyone that was able to tune in today. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. Like, share, subscribe, and follow. And we will talk soon. Peace and blessings.